And now, Chris O'Donnell, star of Grey's Anatomy, Batman Forever, and Scent of a Woman. Chris, welcome to the Young Turks.
How did you guys know that was my first dance at my wedding? Eye of the Tiger. I mean, are you kidding me?
Your wife is one lucky woman.
Absolutely.
She is, because you've given her like 18 children.
And I'll be honest, another reason why she's lucky is I'm very late comer to Grey's Anatomy. I've only seen the last 3 episodes, but I get it. It's very good. And even I admit, as I'm a happily married man, I look at you and I'm like, all right, that's a good looking man. That's all there is to it. It's a good looking other guy.
Well, I guess that's a pretty nice compliment.
Yeah. It's a nice job on that.
You should have given me that line, Ben.
All right.
I like to be honest.
Appreciate that. I'll take every compliment possible.
You're talking about how you like his facial hair. It's working for the whole vet
Little
character.
scruff.
No, but that's funny.
Scruff is very sexy.
And the kind of unkempt hair.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
It's looking good.
Chris, Ben has one more line for you.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Let's calm down.
All right. Listen, Chris, you straighten this out for me. I had a friend of mine, Turkish friend of mine, said he was dating one of your sisters or your cousins or something. Do you remember any of your cousins or sisters dating a greasy Turkish guy?
Boy, that one I do not remember. All my sisters are married, so that would be a shock if it was a sister. Cousin? I've got some long-lost cousins. It's a big family. You can't keep track of all of them.
You know what's funny is that when you're, get to be a celebrity, actor, and it's funny how everybody's reaction to it is. Because I remember he's a good friend of mine, and he's not really greasy, and he came over one time, and I think it was a cousin of yours, not a sister. And he's like, I'm dating Chris O'Donnell's cousin.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I thought, and
boy, it's frightening too because like the stories from high school or somebody you hooked up with in college or something you never even remember. Those people, they're still telling the stories because they haven't forgotten you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get that every once in a while. I'll have someone come like, did you ever go out with a girl from college named so and so? I'm like, geez, I don't know. It doesn't really ring a bell. And they're like, no. They said that it definitely happened. I'm like, it's a good possibility that it did, but I just can't confirm it for you.
It turns out you actually just spilled a drink on them.
Well,
Yeah.
How many O'Donnells do you think are out there that is like, yeah, Chris is my cousin?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with third cousin twice removed.
It's some good rap.
We're tight.
Yeah, I mean, Loris O'Donnell's on the show the other day. That's what he was saying.
Oh yeah, okay.
Chris makes a good point that, of course, that he wasn't saying that it was necessarily tough on him. That like people that he comes into contact with, even in a cursory manner, they remember it because they just came into contact with Chris O'Donnell.
Well, but that's like that all the. I mean, I feel like I'm terrible with names, but I'm really not. Like I actually have a pretty good memory for names. The problem is when you're a celebrity, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
People remember those encounters.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you say. And so, suddenly I'm the bad guy if I don't remember meeting somebody one time, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, the difference is nobody forgets me. I forget everybody.
You forget everybody.
I feel like I do.
No, but so what I want to know though is there someone higher than you who's done it to you? Like,
oh yeah,
you remember when you met Jack Nicholson.
But you know what the difference is? Because I've been in the place where I am where people are coming up to me, whenever I see someone that I always throw out my name first, you know what I mean? Because I just assume that they're going to forget, and I don't want to put someone in the position that I'm always in.
Oh, right.
So I will reintroduce myself to the point where people are like, geez, I know who you are, and, you don't have to tell me again. But
well, I'm going to tell you a ridiculous story now, but I was playing poker with John Favreau the other night.
Oh, yeah.
And, I just, because it relates to the names. And he said, met everybody at the table, and I said, I'm Cenk, whatever. And then he sat down, and I said, all right, I'll give you $1 if you remember my name. Right?
Yep.
And because Cenk is a hard name,
sure.
I would forget it, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, $1.
Let alone trying to spell it.
Right, exactly. And then he's like, $1. Cenk.
Oh, nice. You lost $1. Yeah.
I lost $1, gained a friend.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
All right. Now, so, Chris, I read in your bio that, first of all, I joke around about it, but apparently you have like 28 sisters and brothers, and you're looking to duplicate that. And at some point, you were looking to get out of acting when you were younger. And is it your mother or your sister said, no, just please go to one more audition? And first of all, tell us that story real quick.
Oh, I mean, that was when I was about 16, 17 years old. No, I was about 17 years old when I did my first movie because, I was getting ready to go to college and I didn't really have a career. I had done some television commercials and that sort of thing in Chicago. But I'd gone to a couple auditions for this Warner Brothers film, and I'd been to auditions like that in the past. It's such a long shot, and Chicago is not an easy place to get to when you live out in the burbs, trying to get in for an audition. And it just seemed like a waste of time. I had a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't realize they were actually interested in me. And I was like, I'm not going again. They're never going to cast me. I got stuff going on. Senior prom's coming up, and my wife, my mom. It was funny. She did leave a note. She's like, I'll buy you a car, which was the big joke because I was number 7 in our family, and every one of us got our driver's license in the same station wagon. So by the time I got it, this thing was just, you could start it without keys. It was just a disaster. And so I ended up getting it, but of course. I never got the car, so she owes me one.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. Yeah.
Right.
Have you been able to afford a car yet, Chris?
I have a car now, yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
I do. I have a car, and it seems cheap compared to the school bills I'm starting to get now.
We're talking to Chris O'Donnell. He's one of the stars of Grey's Anatomy. So, Chris, if you hadn't gone to that audition, and you went and did, went to college like everybody else, etc., what do you think would have, what career do you think you would have gone into?
Well, I was a business major in college. Just because, I had some brother-in-laws and stuff that were in that business, and it just seemed like, a reasonable path for me to choose. Although I always kid, I've got a couple buddies, that are out here, and they're, do private wealth management, and they've asked me the same question, and they asked me, to this day, they still give me a hard time, because my answer was like, well, I don't know what I'd do. I really don't know how to do anything else. I guess I'd, probably do what you guys do. And they took it as like the biggest insult in the world. But I was like, well, no. I would have, started when I was 21, and I would have gone to business school, and I would have, but now here they are, they're late 30s, and they have very successful careers. But I made, the way it came off was as if what they do is nothing.
Right. Now, you're happy with your decision?
Yeah, it's worked out all right. But it is funny. You have these, you make, choices in life, and opportunities come up that. At the time, they don't seem like big decisions, but they are. When I was 14 years old, right before I started doing commercials, my parents had me registered in St. Louis. We were moving to St. Louis, and at the last second, my dad said, "It just doesn't feel right. We're not going to do it." And a week later, basically my career started. I got discovered by some woman, and it was kind of. Had that never happened, I never would have, gotten into this. And even when I got my first movie, I didn't know necessarily that I was going to do it. And I was so excited to go to college, and suddenly I was giving up college to go do a film. And obviously, if I had not made that choice, I would never be where I am today in this situation. But so these things, they don't seem like huge choices at the time, but they really steer you in a different direction.
I want to ask you about this idea of being discovered, because I'm still waiting. What exactly were you doing when she found you?
I was totally self-motivated when I was about 14 years old. There was a kid in my school that was making commercials, and I thought, this is a joke. I want to be on TV. I want to get paid money to do this. I can do it. It would be a great job. So I just got the yellow pages out and started calling talent agencies in Chicago. And
at 14?
At 14. And they just kind of laughed at me and said, yeah, send us a picture. And, I never heard from anybody. So it became like a big joke in our household that I was going to be, movie star. And so as it happens, my older sister was at a wedding. Some woman's car broke down, so she gave her a ride to the reception. And they were just chit-chat. She said, what do you do? She goes, now I'm an agent downtown and blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, my God, you got to meet my little brother. He thinks he's going to be a star. And that was the break I needed. She got me in the door. I met the woman, and she said, yeah, we'll send you out on some stuff. She sent me on auditions the next day, and I started getting everything.
Chris, can I tell you something? I couldn't be more encouraged by that story. And I'll tell you why. Because I have to be honest, I get so annoyed at all these stories of people like, I don't know, I was just walking down the street, next thing you know, I got discovered.
No, I was pursuing it. It wasn't like I was, shopping at the Gap or something, and some woman said, hey, can I take your picture?
In fact, what you did was exactly the opposite.
I was proactive.
Right, you put it out there, even as a 14-year-old, and if you put something out there, it's much more likely to happen.
Chance favors the prepared mind, what I'm saying?
Exactly. So now, having said that,
get out of the mall finally. It's not working out.
And chance favors the prepared mind. That's clearly a quote that
it is. It's somebody famous, and I can't remember. I remember it from high school, and I don't.
Is it someone more famous than you or less famous?
No, it's someone very famous. It was Emerson or somebody, but it was.
It is reminiscent, almost identical
we'll have to Google it.
The great quote of Branch Rickey, the guy who signed Jackie Robinson, that luck is the residue of design.
So ooh, I like that.
Yeah, there you go.
We're talking to Chris O'Donnell. He's the star, one of the stars of Grey's Anatomy. He was also the star of The Bachelor, Ascent of a Woman, Batman Forever, et cetera, et cetera. Chris, I want to ask you a question you might not answer, but I got to ask it. So you go in this direction and you become an actor, and obviously you've been in some giant movies and had a good deal of success. How much money have you made in your life?
Let me see. I get a calculator out. It's amazing. I've spent a lot. Let me tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to spend the money. I gotta tell you.
No, I don't have any trouble believing that.
I've done all right.
No, I want to get a sense of it. Now, of course, you're not going to give me a number like $18.5 million and this and that and stuff like that. But I want to was most of the money, first of all, was it made from the actual movies or speaking engagements or
weddings and bar mitzvahs?
Right.
I don't know.
No, you know what? It's different in every film, and it just depends. I mean, there are some films, like the Batman films, where you make more money on the merchandising than you do on the film.
You said about you made Batman Forever was first, and then Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
And you said about Batman Forever that you were making a movie, and then Batman and Robin, you felt like you were making a toy commercial.
But kind of, yeah. I mean, well, that was just they unfortunately got a little greedy in the movie. They put it into production way too fast, and it was just it turned out to be a disaster. But
Did you know? I'm sorry, real quick though. Did you know when you're making the movie? Do you get a sense on a big budget picture like that this is going wrong? And
I mean, it seemed like it wasn't like we were going to be making an Academy Award-winning film, but at the same time, you felt like there's no way it can't make a ton of money, and it ultimately did make a lot of money worldwide. But it was a disaster compared to the other ones. And you did have a sense that it was just. It wasn't as well organized as the first one. It was just, I think they felt like if they just threw money at it, it would all come together. So it felt very sloppy and bloated and just, a lot of wasted money on the film.
I'm surprised that that's different than a lot of the other movies. That seems like it's the story you hear often in Hollywood.
Well, I mean, they do spend a lot of money on these movies, but surprisingly, they're very tight with the purse strings. At least that's the sense you get. It's just that they are, there's a lot of things to spend money on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a part of the crew or you're an actor, it seems like they're not spending any money. But when you think about all the shots that they want to get and the stunts and the special effects that they're doing post-production, that's where the money really adds up. And the marketing campaigns, I mean, that's insane what they spend.
Now, I have one more question about Batman before we get on to your role in Grey's Anatomy right now. What do you think about your decision to take on the role of Robin? I mean, you did a wonderful job. Do you feel you got typecast at all, though, after doing two of them?
Well, I don't know that I got typecast. I definitely got stung by the second one being so bad and being so poorly received. But, the net of it was still a great decision. I mean, it gave me huge international exposure, and I was, there was a lot of benefits to my career as a result of that. And I had a great time doing it. I mean, I was a huge fan of the TV show growing up and had all the toys and that sort of thing. So it was fun to do it. The first one turned out real well. The second one didn't, you know what I mean? But that's the risk you take. And, if I could go back and do it over, I probably wouldn't have done the second one. But I made a deal with them, and I was obligated to do it. So.
Sure. I mean, you're no Terrell Owens. So, is it true that they were thinking of doing Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, Ewan McGregor, Jude Law for Robin, and or did Joel Schumacher just make that up?
I have no idea. You know what? I remember people coming up to me and saying they'd gone into audition for it and stuff. I didn't even audition. Joel just came to me and offered it to me, and I just had gone and met with him, and he told me I may be doing this film. You should think about it. And then, months later I heard from him again, and I got, they offered it to me. So, I don't know, there's always people up for everything, but I have no idea.
We're talking to the actor Chris O'Donnell. Chris, you mentioned that Joe was talking about the Batman movies and then relating it to Grey's Anatomy. Now, and I love movies. I've seen a gazillion movies, and I watch more television than just about anybody in America. And
like TV.
I just find, and it's interesting when actors like you start showing up on television, because I think, 2006? I don't think television has ever been better. And the writing is, the characters are rich and they're complicated and they're not all good and not all evil, and it has a lot to do with the HBO shows and the FX shows like The Shield and Rescue Me. And
I think it has a lot to do with the reality shows too.
Well, right. Yeah.
I think that I'm serious. I think that that there's not as many jobs right now for writers, and I think that the cream is kind of coming to the top.
That's interesting.
And because there's fewer shows, I think that the quality of writing has really gone up.
But there certainly doesn't strike me that there could possibly be, where back in the, I also work for Turner Classic Movies. I host movies for TCM on the weekend, and when we talk
I gotta tell you right now, my mom and dad probably love you.
Right, they'd probably rather meet me than you. But no, but in the 1950s and 40s, as television sort of came into everybody's home, there was a sense that actors would sort of jeopardize their career by going to television. And
it was that way when I started out too.
Right, but there's no stigma now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a different thing. I mean, you do see a lot more crossover. And when I started, I remember. I was just talking to Paul Brickman, who directed my first film, the other day. I'm going to be 36 in a month, and I turned 18 during my first movie. So it's like I've spent half my life now doing this, and it's definitely changed. I mean, there was not a lot of crossover, and I remember thinking, I don't ever want to do TV. I'm been lucky, and I'm doing movies, and I want to keep doing that. But there's great stuff being done on TV, and for me, it's been a great opportunity because the kind of really top-notch A-list movies that I was being offered before weren't being offered to me, and so if I want to do something that's really quality, this is the best opportunity for me.
And does this perhaps pave the way for those top-notch A-list movies to come back?
Possibly. But I got to tell you, it's actually lifestyle-wise for me, it's pretty great because I'm in LA. I'm working on a show that I feel really good about doing the work, and I get to be home with my family.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just feels right.
I never understood, Chris, I'm 36 too, and I never understood that. I know it's an acting thing or whatever, but I always thought like TV, that's the people who watch every day. Why wouldn't you want to be on TV? TV rocks.
Well, because you do, as an actor, you realize that your art is being sacrificed. I mean, there's no question. TV is a writer's medium. You're just under the gun. You've got eight and a half days to get this episode done, and you have to get it done. You're covering so many pages a day. There's not time to rehearse it the way you want. There's not time to do all the coverage that you want. There's not time to do all the takes that you want. There's just not enough time. And so it doesn't get to the level that would be the best. I mean, film doesn't even get to that level, generally speaking, because there's no time to rehearse on films usually. The only place that it's just the best for an actor is being on the stage, because you spend 6 to 8 weeks rehearsing, and you get everything you can out of these performances, and you learn that there's no fluff in it. That everything is there for a reason. Everything has a meaning.
That's really interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, we're learning from Chris O'Donnell.
I mean, I think that to me, TV is about the writers, film is about the directors, and stage is about the actors.
Oh, fascinating. Okay, I like that. All right, so last inappropriate question for you. Al Pacino apparently once told you to never date actresses.
Mm-hmm.
Did you follow his advice or no?
It wasn't necessarily don't date him. It was never marry one.
Oh,
it was a little more specific.
Well, there's your answer.
Well, but your girlfriend, or your girlfriend, your wife, you met her in college, correct?
Yeah, her brother went to college with me, so I knew her I had known her for a while. But yeah, I took his advice, and I can understand why. I mean, as an actor, your career tends to dominate the relationship. Mm-hmm. It really does, and to have to deal with two careers can be really tough when you're trying to raise a family and maintain a relationship.
Right, but if you're not trying to raise a family, a couple of nights here and there, a couple of actors.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the dating part, absolutely.
I don't know if you read the tabloids too much, but it looks like it really works out for these dual celebrity couples all the time. But I want to ask you about Grey's Anatomy. So I'm addicted to Grey's Anatomy, so I've been very excited to see you on the show in the last couple episodes.
He's very hunky.
He's very hunky.
Okay, we got that back.
No, but let me just bring everyone up to speed. In the last episode, it looks like your relationship with Meredith is starting to pursue forward a little bit.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah?
It looks that way.
So,
well, you guys have shot it already, right?
We have. We've finished the season.
So you know whether things happen or don't happen.
Yeah, I know where this season's going.
Is it safe to say that there's a little love connection that's brewing, and maybe you'll come back next season?
Yeah, it's probably safe to say that, but we'll have to see.
She's very cute.
She is very cute.
She is. She's it's been a pleasure to work with her.
All right.
And you birthed the horse last episode, didn't you?
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, it was brilliant work.
I wouldn't mind working with her either. All right, great job, Chris, on Grey's Anatomy, and we really thank you for coming on the Young Turks.
My pleasure, guys. Take care.
Thanks,
All right.
Chris.
Everybody check out Chris O'Donnell on Grey's Anatomy on ABC. Young Turks, coming right back.